Hi, welcome to another episode of Rocky Mountain Ranch Research with me, Katie Paige. This is a continuation in part 2 of Behind the Scenes of Beyond Skinwalker Ranch. I will be doing a continuation of the recording that I made right after filming that first episode. You can see that episode on Season 1, Episode 3, The Rocky Mountain Ranch. So I hope you all enjoy part 2 of this very personal episode. Thanks for being here. Friday the 10th, my call time was, let me find out, 11 a.m. in the lobby. Okay, so Friday the 10th, I met everybody at 11 a.m. in the lobby, and that's when David Morehouse, the remote viewer, was there, and I wasn't allowed to meet him either, but I did see him and the person he was with in the lobby, but they would not allow us to meet. And I basically got in the Jeep by myself. They had me mic'd up already. And I made the comment like, hopefully you can't turn on the mic while I'm driving to the ranch, because I like to sing in the Jeep. And then we drove all in a caravan out to the ranch. And that was the day that we filmed with David Morehouse, and we got the results of the remote view. And what I found out was that this remote viewing session was the biggest that they've ever done, with over 70 remote viewers, remote viewing the ranch from underneath the ground, on the ground, and 4 different elevations above the ranch. And I found out David Morehouse put together a really nice PowerPoint presentation explaining about how and what the history of remote viewing in the CIA, when it started, that it's not psychics, it's not clairvoyance. These are trained protocols. Anybody can be trained in it. These 70 remote viewers were all highly trained. He was telling us about the bell curve, how it's done, what they get. They used to get Latin long numbers. Now they just get numbers that David Morehouse assigns to the job. And they're given only 4%. Basically, it looks like a white sheet of paper with a couple roads on it. I mean, literally nothing. It could be anywhere in the world. They could be in London. They could be at an amusement park. They could be anywhere in the world. They had no idea. So to find out that they remote viewed this, the largest remote view they've ever done in the history, was incredible. And then to find out that what the remote viewers hit on blew my mind, so much so that I'm thinking this can't be real. Like, they got the ranch house, they got Pikes Peak in the distance, they got the silo, they got black unmarked helicopters, they remote viewed that particular date back in time, and they got these strange electronic boxes. So many remote viewers drew these boxes and electronic noises, and they use the word hums and sounds and.
There are also a great deal of verbal sensory data captured by the viewers that talked about infrasound, ELF infrasound hums, noises, sounds, ranging from high pitch to varying frequencies.
Hum noises.
Yeah,
high pitch.
Difficult to sketch hum noises.
Hum noises. That's what
that happened the other morning too. When we were out here taking readings, we heard exactly that at the cistern. That high pitched hum. Did you hear a noise?
It just said like humming noise.
Chaos and fear and confusion, and one remote viewer even drew a box of this human-ish like big being next to the box, which the Sasquatch was by the box, that it dropped it to its knees. They had 2 what he thought were military people looking over a map. It could have been the 2 police officers, Bill Waugh and George Yanell, looking over the map. It could have been police or military. They got MK Ultra. They've got 5 children or kids. They got, oh my gosh, just so much.
This place we've been describing it as, and the viewers were describing it as like this crossroads, this convergence points of invisible sky trails or, ley lines or PowerPoints or portals and vortices and things that are opening and closing. And so it's such a high busy area that in my analysis, it makes sense that there's such a spectrum of life forms that are being described here. And in talking to Katie, who's been out there, it is that kind of a place. The numbers of different kinds of life forms that were present over the time we were there were huge. And from the ones that they called like white fuzzies to others that you might call a Bigfoot, to others that were greenish skin that sparkled, to others that had little small impish dark critter looking things, to grays, to you name it, right? They're out there.
They got all sorts of alien beings, all sorts of craft, triangular shaped craft, round craft. They basically hit on everything with the exception of cattle mutilations. There wasn't anything mentioned about that, which is interesting because that was a big phenomenon. They also I found it interesting that they had these clusters where the remote viewers were hitting in multiple clusters, and they overlaid it on the map, and these clusters were all in the treed areas, not in the open areas. And I'm like, it's so weird that they hit on all these treed areas, meaning like whatever is going on is in these treed areas. And they had all sorts of weird drawings and caverns and open things under the ground. And these clusters when they looked and remote viewed from way above, these clusters followed the Black Forest down into Colorado, the Air Force Academy, like this whole area where there's been reported activity. So it was very accurate. Everything the remote viewers remote viewed was just unbelievably spot on. I couldn't even believe it. It was unbelievable. Now, after we met with David Morehouse, the camera crew was setting up in the original house where the event took place. They had NASA build this communication device with the radios, and in the front little sunroom thing that they built out on front of the ranch house, they set up all these screens, and they flew in a ham radio operator to the premise was we were going to send out signals on these private radio frequency bands. There were 2 of them, and we were going to try to send out a signal up above and try to communicate with whatever is there on the ranch property.
To test the idea that some kind of phenomenon at Rocky Mountain Ranch might be trying to communicate with Katie and the team, for this experiment, they are going to broadcast on the 1.6 gigahertz frequency that is correlated with high-strangeness at Skinwalker Ranch. The only way to legally transmit a human voice at 1.6 gigahertz all the way into space is to use a ham radio.
I mean, the piece of the puzzle here is that back in 1976, when Katie was here with her family, there was some kind of broadcast that came through stereo equipment that was essentially turned off. So if we can do anything to trigger that kind of signal, we want to pick it up with this kind of equipment.
And this is the physical place where voices were heard through radios during the blackout.
So we're going to recreate that situation. So what we're going to do is set up these old AM radios, and we will have them tuned to basically to static, to an empty band, to an empty channel.
The plan is, after they broadcast a voice at 1.6 gigahertz into the atmosphere, they will use multiple radios placed inside the house to monitor for any audio anomalies coming through the radio speakers. They've also placed a highly sensitive microphone next to the radios to capture and graphically display any response.
We went in and we did this radio experiment. It was interesting. We were getting these jumps, and we would try to zero in on what that was, and it would jump over to the right, and then we'd try to zero in on that, and it would jump to the left, and then it would jump to the right, and it was as if it was trying to avoid us, whatever signal that was, and that was weird. But then David Carr says, hey, why don't we let Katie try to communicate? And so they had to get permission, actually, because you have to put out your call sign and whatever. And they said, yes, you can speak on the radio, but the guy has to hold the receiver and the guy has to do his call sign, but then I could say something. So he did that, and I said, "Hey, this is Katie. You remember me? Do you remember my sister?" You know, things like that. And as soon as I started talking, all this equipment just went berserk. It was responding to me, and everybody was freaking out like, "Holy crap, you've got to be kidding me," as if the house was responding to me. And so they wanted me to repeat it because it was just so crazy. And so I repeated it again. Same response. They're like stunned. They're like, "Holy cow, we can't wait to share this with Brandon Fugel and Travis Taylor, and we need to get Nicole in here to witness this, and we need to get Andy in here to witness this." And why all this is happening, I just started talking without the radio, just talking to the house like, "Hey, what do you want from me? What are these boxes?" And just with my voice, all the equipment was going crazy without being on the radio, sending the signals. So I was communicating with the house, and the equipment was showing it, and there was nobody in that room. They could not understand how or what or why this was happening. Also at this time, we got clearly everybody heard Vietnam War on the radio, came through just this weird random voice. Sometimes you would hear just weird old music. And then one time it said a couple things. It said something like, "They're looking for us." And I can't remember what the other one was. "They're looking for us," and something else, but it was very clear. And I was asking, how could this happen? Is this like when you ghost hunt and you're running through the channels? And they're like, "No, these are private channels. No radio signals come through." So I don't know what that was, but really crazy results that night.
Do you remember me, my sister, and the 3 boys? We're back, and we'd like to talk to you.
Oh my gosh! Did you see that?
It just went woo!
Holy smokes! We just had a massive reaction from the house when Katie sent that transmission. Get out of here. Look at this.
No, look at it.
No, man, I can't. I'm not even making it up. Look at this.
What kind of reaction?
Tons of energy coming from the house. It's bouncing all over the place, man.
Up and down my body, right?
Oh my
God.
gosh.
Oh my God.
The house is absolutely reacting to Katie's voice. It is.
And so that basically wrapped up that night. After those responses, I got back in the Jeep and drove back to the hotel. I want to say it was maybe 11:30 midnight that night when I got back to the hotel room. That was that Friday the 10th. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to this very personal and special episode of Rocky Mountain Ranch Research. I hope you enjoyed it, and be on the lookout for part 3. There's so much more that happened out there. And if you can you please like, share, and subscribe? It really helps me out a lot. So again, thank you so much. Also, I hope you can check out RockyMountainRanchResearch.org. It's not too early to get that Christmas shopping done. There's some cool mugs and wine glasses and t-shirts and hoodies and stickers, and it really helps me out a lot. So again, thanks everybody. And no matter what day it is that you're watching this, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week and a wonderful weekend ahead.